The snow was still falling when the red car skidded off the road, metal screaming against ice, fate snapping shut in a single violent second. By the time the world went quiet again, a female police officer sat trapped in the driver's seat, blood warming her cheek as cold crept into her bones. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the man running toward her through the snow wasn't just a stranger. He was a single dad whose broken past was about to collide with her hidden truth, changing both of their lives forever. If you believe that kindness can appear at the exact moment it's needed most, take a second right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Grandma Dearie. This story is for everyone who believes in second chances and quiet miracles. He had been driving home from his second job, exhaustion heavy in his shoulders, the kind of tired that never really leaves when you're raising a child alone. His hands were stiff from the cold, his thoughts already on his daughter waiting at home, when he saw the wreck. Red paint against white snow, steam rising like a warning. He didn't think about danger or time or the fact that no one would blame him for driving past. He stopped because that's who he was now, a man who couldn't ignore pain anymore, not after losing so much of his own. The woman inside the car was barely conscious. Her uniform told him she was a cop, but it was her face that stayed with him, the way she tried to stay strong even as shock pulled her under, the way her eyes searched his as if asking whether she would be okay. He broke the door open with shaking hands, shielding her from the wind with his own body, whispering comfort even though his voice trembled. He tore his jacket to press against her wound, feeling the cold bite into his skin, staying there until the sirens finally arrived and the world began to move again. At the hospital, he didn't leave right away. He sat in a hard plastic chair, boots wet, heart pounding, wondering why he felt so connected to someone he had known for only minutes. Maybe it was because she reminded him of his late wife, strong and stubborn and trying to carry the world alone. Maybe it was because saving her felt like proof that he wasn't just surviving anymore, that he still mattered. Days later, life pulled him back into its familiar rhythm. Morning routines, packed lunches, homework spread across the kitchen table. His daughter asked why he seemed different, why he stared out the window longer than usual. He didn't know how to explain that something inside him had shifted, that the act of saving a stranger had reopened parts of his heart he thought were sealed forever. Across town, the female cop recovered slowly. Bruises faded, but the memory didn't. She remembered his face, the way he refused to leave her side, the warmth of his jacket against the cold. What she hadn't realized in that moment was who he was. When her department later reviewed the incident, she learned his name and his story. A widowed father. 2 jobs. No family nearby. A man carrying quiet grief with quiet strength. The knowledge sat heavy in her chest, changing how she saw the world and her place in it. Their paths crossed again by accident, or maybe by design, at a small community event weeks later. Snow had melted into early spring, but something fragile and hopeful still hung in the air. He didn't recognize her at first, not without the blood and the fear, but she recognized him instantly. Gratitude filled her, mixed with something deeper, something she wasn't ready to name. They spoke like ordinary people, 2 strangers connected by an extraordinary moment, careful not to lean too hard into what they both felt. As weeks passed, their lives slowly intertwined. He learned that being a cop hadn't just been a job for her, it was a calling born from loss and a need to protect others the way no one had protected her when she was younger. She learned that his strength came from love, from nights spent holding his daughter through nightmares, from choosing gentleness even when life had been cruel. They didn't rush anything. Healing rarely happens quickly, and both of them understood that. The real turning point came when his daughter was hospitalized with a severe illness. Fear returned, sharp and familiar, threatening to pull him back into the darkness he had barely escaped. This time, he wasn't alone. The female cop stood beside him in sterile hallways, offering quiet support, using her connections to help, sitting through endless hours without complaint. In that moment, he realized something profound: saving her that day hadn't just spared her life. It had opened a door to his own future. When his daughter recovered, laughter slowly returned to their home. The single dad found himself believing again, not just in survival, but in joy. The female cop, once defined by duty and distance, learned how to let herself be cared for. They never spoke of destiny, but both understood that some moments are too perfectly timed to be coincidence. As you reach this part of the story, take a moment and comment below with a red heart if you believe that strangers can become family and that one brave act can change everything. Near the end of that year, snow fell again, softer this time. They stood together watching his daughter build a crooked snowman, both aware of how far they had come. The world was still imperfect, still dangerous, but it was also full of second chances. A single dad had saved a female cop, never knowing that in doing so, he had saved himself too. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, and subscribe to Grandma Dearie, and let us know in the comments how it made you feel. Your engagement helps stories like this reach people who need hope the most.